here we are. We've always been on ISRG. Let that be known, everyone. And let it be known that you wish that you knew what was going on behind the scenes from the fundamental part of why this stock is getting killed right now as we speak. And yes, I'm going to show what that looks like right now. So you can clearly see one thing. That stock is tanking, and the company was not honest. I did special reports on ISRG over the last couple of months, and I did. And here's the thing that I want to show you. This is a 3-minute chart. I am showing you right now that this stock closed at $489 and now it's printing back at $447. The thing that I am going to say is that they had downplayed the government issues over the safety warnings with the FDA and those doctors, my friends, in Denver that put a lawsuit on them. Then in the last quarterly reports, we knew that the numbers were going to be extremely bad forward looking. And those Da Vinci units are not being sold or led to be you to be believing in this company right now that just hit a low at $420. Look, the news hit, and I want to show you something. And I also want the regulators to look at the stock. That stock fell from this 498 or 489 straight down to 420. And now it's bouncing right here off of the lows, and you can see that knee-jerk reaction. Now, we believe that the fundamentals over the last couple of quarters, 3 quarters, was cooked. And that they were in trouble. And they were in trouble for lots of reasons. And there was a lot of stuff around the volatility that we see here today. And not only that, we'll be sending this over to our friends because it's about time. And that high frequency algorithm is you went from 489 to 420. And guess what? Now you're printing 452 by 450. These high frequencies called HFT, let this be known. Let it be known that the fundamentals aren't no good. The top thing that we're going to talk about is what these regulators need to see in the dollar price movement. Not only that, the people that were led to believe that the fundamentals were sound and that the fundamentals were in good shape and the overall thing were misled. And the reason why, I am going to share that with you momentarily. One of the things, Mr. Regulator, is you need to see where these HFT firms are. You need to see that they have these prices lined in the bid range, which are erroneous bids. Yeah, they're there, but the intention of it is not real. It's artificial. That way, they collect, all they do is cancel the order, and then the prices drop down to 420. So they lined this bid. Good till cancel to buy. It's called bid propping. And they dropped it to 420, and they got a $30 move as well. Now, we take advantage of it, and we're going to teach you about that. But we want you to see, Mr. Regulator, that this kind of price action in ISRG, and it's been this way, not with just ISRG, it's been that way with all of them in the after hours trading. And it's our due diligence to have you understand that you need to do your job based around what's going on here. And that big investors or little investors, it doesn't matter. They're all victims to this and whatnot. Yes, it doesn't matter that we have put options on it. Yes, we've gone through day after day, week after week, month after month. And every single time the analysts come out and put big buy ratings on it. This thing was trading down around 350, 100 points lower than what it was. It's always got this controversy. People are selling short the name right now. They got a $30 move, Mr. Regulator. Don't you think that there is something wrong with this picture? Don't you think there is something wrong? I know that there is. We've been sending these live. I got over 5,000 videos. I got all of these after hour trades, Mr. Regulator, that we know beyond a reasonable doubt that when we give them to our very close people that we know, that they do find their way over there. But does it mean that you're actually looking at them? Or are you going to just continue to let these things happen? So I will be back in 1 minute, Mr. Regulator. Here's what I would like to let everybody know about Intuitive Surgical and their warning. Intuitive Surgical was only down slightly when this news hit the tape, and people with news wires in HFT and or other people that pay for the rights to get news released, they abuse it. And that is another big thing where Warren Buffett, they own Business Wire, and that they're going to stop this stuff in this hanky-panky. And not only that, recently, so what they did was they recently published a blog article discussing one doctor's concerns with ISRG's new Da Vinci Unit XI systems. Okay, at the time the stock was at 489. The article was written by Benjamin J. Davis, MD, an associate professor of urology at the University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine. In the article, Davies states that the new systems are completely, now listen, completely incompatible with older systems. He also said the Intuitive did not modify hospitals' pending releases of the XI systems. Therefore, hospitals were unable to plan a budget appropriately. Mr. Regulator, do your job. Now, lastly, he said that the volume of robotic cases per month has fallen by at least 50%. We had told everybody this. We got all of the live videos and every quarterly report that ISRG has done and the kind of volatility. Now, here's my take on it. This news was written by that gentleman. The markets reacted down to from 489 down here to 420. From 420 straight back up here to 440, 445. You can see the people that are bailing out of it right now because of it. Now, let me just tell you this. Meaning that he is not in a position to request funds for the new system. Now, that was a blog post. Let me tell you, Mr. Regulator, here's what happens. People get that news ahead of the rest of the world. People like myself, people like stock traders, whatever their role is when they're in here buying or selling, there's a huge disadvantage by the time that this was released. And not only that, this is a blog post, okay? We're going to see what ISRG has to say about it. But our bearishness was from a fundamental perspective that those orders, the capex for those things, were not going to be at the peak of the good days that ISRG had. And there was a time that ISRG was a great company, as it was. I'm going to pull up here a daily chart right now of where ISRG is going to go. And basically what you're seeing right now is the 420 bar right here. You are seeing on a daily up here at 489. You see that dropping after hours, Mr. Regulator. Somebody got this news, and this has been an ongoing problem in after hours or during market hours, Mr. Regulator, that people are getting and front running stocks. They get that news before anyone else, and it's a disadvantage to the rest of the world. Whatever it is, and what do I mean by that? Doesn't matter what level of individual investor or trader you are, it affects the small guy just as much the big guy. It doesn't matter. What does matter, though, that both parties suffer the fact that ISRG did not release this early on. And we're going to be doing a complete coverage. Once again, I'm going to pause for one moment, and I want you to see right here. That's the 3-minute drop. Look, this is a daily after hours, 420. This stock dropped bigger than big. Remember, SMF is an expert doing their fundamentals and their homework and knowing when there's a shortfall. And we've been telling people for the last year, they ran this stock up to $550. I will show you very quickly what I'm talking about. $550 up here, and we went crashing all the way down today to 420. You got to go back over here to 319, and this is now. I'm going to bring this up, and I'm going to put this candle. There. This is where it was on 3/3 of 2014. They had news articles, Mr. Regulator, that was released that the safety issues with the Food and Drug Administration were out of the way. And as soon as that happened, then everybody goes in the stock and they run it up here. Once again, it falls in a nightmare. Today, that low of 420 goes way back over here of what 2013 when the issues started coming out and the things that we had talked about, Mr. Regulator. And for the rest of these new people or experts in the field, it's about the news release and who got a hold of that news release before the rest of the population versus that select people. And remember, it was written on a blog post. For the rest of the people who show the video to their friends or people that may, the big institutional people or hedge fund managers or whatnot, all you have to do is come here, type in ISRG in the search box at stockmarketfunding.com. You will find after hours over here a $50 drop. Oh, look at here. ISRG was at 385 from bad news to 424. We have a complete documented live trading events like we're doing right here before you now. This cannot be ignored. And click down here and you can go on and on and on and on. It's all live events like we're doing right now. Our historical database in these stocks on these news releases ahead of time is that you have now a way to go back and look at the SMF model in the after hours trading on news releases. And where did they come from? And who got them first? And was it fair to the rest of the population? Beyond a reasonable doubt, you need to do your job about these news releases. And the thing about it is, somebody, as I said, had to write it. So I said, do that here. We have been dealing with ISRG from the first day that it come public. And you can click on number 2 here. We have an extensive areas, ISRG, 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 earnings 2013. How far you want me to go along? We've been covering this thing forever. And we said fundamentally that there is going to be a problem. And that the newer Da Vinci's, as we are understanding, is we came down here. And we did. And let us not forget that the prints are right now. Let's move this out of the way. So you can clearly see that on a 3-minute level after hours, it looks just like that. And that was a news release. It was a blog post. And it was posted. That dropped the stock. We are more bearish on it because why? We know beyond a reasonable doubt that the fundamentals do not warrant a $550 stock price. And then after this little yahoo, they come out with this bogus news. And what ends up happening is then the analysts are putting all these exuberant price targets, 680, 650. Look, the fundamentals to the analysts, you better do your job. And you better start doing it now. And if you don't know what you're doing, then you should stop doing upgrades on it for that reason. There are a couple of things in Wall Street. One, it's not a fair playing field. Why? Someone got the news. Where did it come from? Somebody has a trade on. We know that it doesn't belong up there to stock price. This is not the issue. The issue is how fair it is for the people who trade it and or buy options and calls and puts. And why aren't these news releases being regulated? I will update everyone else, and today's date is 4/8/2014. The time, 2:11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And this, my friends, they bought this stock over here at 420, and they did. You can see on this daily chart right here where that was. You can clearly see it. And on 4/4, they had this thing all the way pumped from news information that was publicized here to that high. And let us not forget, these articles and newses need to be monitored. They got that stock up here, and the people that own it now are left out to dry. And you know what? That was the 550 area. And yes, we were bearish on it, not because of what was written today. That had nothing to do with it. It was about the fundamentals. It was about what the earnings were going to be like forward looking. It was about the fact, is the FDA really satisfied on the safety and procedures of the units that are used in hospitals? So one thing, from 489 to 420, and as you can see now, it's printing at 441, 440. So there's your after hours news release and your knee-jerk reaction. And what you need to do is find out who released the news, where did it come from, and do your due diligence now. Because it's not fair for the rest of the world.